All right, what's going on, you guys? I'm just trying to bust out a bunch of prediction videos, man. I'm actually literally going down the schedule, looking at fights, what's coming up, and just knocking out whatever fights that I can just go off the top and just speak and just give you my thoughts on real quick. Um, so Andre Berto against Victor Ortiz too. I am kind of intrigued by this fight. I want to see this fight. I think it's a even matchup. Both of these guys have had their fair share of losses since they first fought. The first fight was a classic. It was fight of the year. Both of them had knockdowns. It was a great back and forth fight, and I'm excited for this fight. I do want to see this fight. Uh, it's hard to call who's gonna win because neither one of these guys are as explosive as they used to be. Both of these guys used to be really fast, a lot of punching power. And these guys, like I said, they took their L's for the last few years. They've been, losing here and there. Both trying to make a comeback, both trying to find their way at 147, which is one of the most competitive divisions in boxing today, if not the most competitive division. And they really haven't really found their way. Andre Berto did land a shot at Floyd Mayweather, a fight that Mayweather chose, a fight that didn't really need to happen. Mayweather just decided that he's going to take an easier fight, and he picked Andre Berto. Um, Berto, who, had his surgery, fought Soto Karass one-handed, still made it a great fight, but was stopped late. Had another war against uh, Robert Guerrero. Okay, had the war with Victor Ortiz. Had a close fight with Louis Collazo back in the day. Never seen a born Andre Berto fight. Never seen it. And the fight with Floyd wasn't a great fight because he just couldn't find Floyd. Usually, he's in a ring with guys that he can always find, always target. Even the Josecito Lopez fight, it wasn't a great fight. Like, he's not as explosive as he used to be. He's not as fast. I don't think he's as powerful. It seemed like Josecito Lopez was outboxing him a little bit on the outside. It's just that Lopez wasn't taking the punches as well as Andre Berto was. Lopez is just not a huge puncher. And, I just think, Victor Ortiz definitely fell off the hardest between the two. He got his jaw cracked against Lopez, a guy that Andre Berto beat, a guy that a later version of Andre Berto beat and knocked out or stopped. And then he goes on and loses to Louis Collazo, and gets stopped in the second round, or was it the first? It was the second round. All right, I went to that fight, and I think he could have gotten up. I think mentally he was done. Um, I think Collazo put him down, and I just don't think he wanted to continue. All right, he didn't get back up. I mean, I was sitting right there when it happened. And Ortiz just didn't want to continue. I think he could have gotten up. I don't think he was that hurt, but I just don't think he wanted it. And, when it comes to picking a winner for this fight, I just don't see how you can pick Victor Ortiz, because he's fought a couple of times since that loss, but he didn't really fight anyone good. And I've seen those fights, and he's still pretty explosive. He's still fast. He still has the power. The athleticism. I mean, the guy is still very young. The guy's in his 20s, but he's been through so much that he's just not the same fighter anymore. He's not a guy that's going to go past 35 and still be close to his prime. He's not that guy. He's already past his prime. And so is Andre Berto, but Andre Berto has been more active lately. He's fought better fighters since they fought each other. I mean, he's been in the ring with Guerrero, Mayweather, Soto Karass, Josecito Lopez, whereas Ortiz been in the ring with, he been in the ring with Josecito Lopez, got stopped by him. He's been in the ring with Luis Collazo, got stopped by him. Two guys that Berto did beat. I didn't think he won against Collazo, but the fight was very close. All right, and obviously he stopped Lopez. So, man, I have to give it to Berto. I think Berto's gonna do it. I think Berto has a better chance of stopping Victor Ortiz at this point. I think Victor Ortiz could win. Just depends how durable he is at this point, For him to get stopped by Collazo was a surprise. It was a huge surprise. It was just shocking thing because Collazo is just not known to stop fighters. And when he does fight and, when he does fight top fighters, the fighters with the big names and everything, he's just not known to stop them. He's known to give them some tough fights and give them good moments like he did against Keith Thurman and other fighters in the past. But, he's not known to stop them. And, for you to get stopped by Collazo, I can only assume that when you fight Andre Berto, a guy that's not as explosive as he once was, but still has the power, he stopped Lopez. He has something there. I can't pick him to win this fight, Even though he won the first fight, I just can't pick him. I just think Berto has more heart. He's more of a warrior, in my opinion. Yeah, he loses some fights. Yeah, he gets knocked down, but the guy fought Soto Karass with one arm, The guy was getting beat down by Guerrero, went to war with Guerrero and kept fighting. I mean, he went to war with Ortiz and kept fighting. Ortiz showed a lot of fight. He showed a lot of heart in that fight against Berto, that first fight. But Berto just has done more since that first loss. And that fight was very, very close. That fight was very close. Berto could have, if he had a little bit more success in some of those rounds, and if he didn't get knocked down in the same round that he knocked down Ortiz in that first fight, he could have had the momentum, but he got caught. That's why I made that fight a classic, because it went back and forth, back and forth. But today, we're in 2016, and Berto's a guy that's always in the gym. He's always in shape, and I just would have to pick him in this fight. I think Ortiz has a shot, because he looked decent in the couple guys he fought since his last loss. But those guys are not Andre Berto. Those guys are not former champions, and, they were pretty much journeymen that Ortiz fought. And I don't know, I think Berto is just going to be too much. He's been too active. I'm picking Berto to win this fight. I think Berto is going to stop him at some point. I think there's a chance the fight could go to decision. Could be a war. I hope regardless of the outcome of this fight, whoever wins, I just hope Ortiz fights with his heart. Have some heart in this fight. I hope he doesn't give up. He's given up a couple times. He didn't give up in the Lopez fight because he did have a broken jaw. But he did give up against Maidana back in the day. He gave up against Collazo, in my opinion. And I just hope, whatever the outcome, whatever the way the fight is going, I hope Ortiz gets up and continues the fight. I hope he has it in him. Because if he loses this fight, if he gets stopped, I think this is the end. If he gets stopped, this is the end. And even if Berto were to get stopped, I don't think he's going to get stopped. I think he could lose by the cards. I think he could get knocked down. I think he could get hurt. But he never gives up. He never gives up. And I don't think whatever Ortiz does, no matter how much he's winning the fight, I don't think he can actually stop Andre Berto. He's fighting a healthy Andre Berto. You know, when Berto was stopped, he wasn't healthy. All right, so I think it's either Berto could definitely win by either decision or by knockout. I think Ortiz could win by decision. You know, but Berto, I think I'm going with Berto by the stoppage. You know, I think Berto's gonna do enough to win. You know, I think this fight is gonna be a brawl. Both guys like to brawl, fast paced, action packed fight. It's not gonna be boring, and the styles just it's the match. Even though these guys are not what they once were, stylistically the matchup is just perfect. Like they are both fast punchers with a lot of power that like to be aggressive. And, you know, Berto, you know, there was points where Berto tried to be more slick. You know, he fought against Guerrero, I think, early on. He tried to fight like an Adrian Broner, and it didn't really work out for him. Or was that the Soto Cross fight? I can't remember, but I hope Berto goes back to fighting like the old school Berto. You know, like, you know, don't try to be shoulder rolling and all that. He's not defensive. He doesn't have the reflexes for that. I hope Berto just goes in there and goes for the kill. He should go for the kill. He has terrible stamina, so he has to be careful he doesn't tire himself out early. But Victor Ortiz, as far as his game plan, be vicious, you know, like the way he used to be. Hopefully he can hurt Berto. Berto's defense sucks, so he can definitely land some big shots. But he has to be careful too that he doesn't you know, get tired out early too. And he has to stay on the front foot. He cannot fight on his back foot, because usually when he's moving backwards or when he's circling his opponent, is when he's in trouble and he's been hurt, and usually when he's about to be on his way out. All right. Both of these guys, it would be best on their best interest to come forward. All right. Berto, please stay off the ropes, because you're terrible. Whenever you're on the ropes, stay off the ropes. And Victor Ortiz, you know, when he's on his back foot or when he's circling, usually that means he's in trouble. They're both best when they're coming forward, and whoever is the better fighter coming forward is usually gonna be the one that's gonna be taking these rounds. All right. So anyway, let me know what you guys think. I am picking Berto by stoppage in this fight. I just don't think Victor Ortiz has it in him, but hopefully he does, because it would make for a good fight. All right. So make sure you guys subscribe, and I'll check you on the next one.